Hi friend, Jeanette here. You're about to take one of my Spine Care Foundations classes. This is my signature class for back pain and spinal injuries. It's the first step in taking control of your life again, and the next step is going to my website, JeanetteConery.com, and signing up for your free back pain starter kit. While you're here, please be sure to like my video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with all of your friends. Enjoy the video. Hello and welcome to Spine Care Foundations. I'm Jeanette and I'll be leading you through this practice today. This is a practice that is safe for absolutely everyone. And I want to let you know what tools we're going to be using today. So this is a pool noodle that I've cut in half with a regular pair of scissors. You can get a pool noodle at Dollar Tree. See, it's a thin one. It's not one of the big fat ones. But if you don't have one, don't worry. I'll show you how to simulate one with a regular size bath towel. So if you don't have a noodle, you'll want to get a bath towel. We'll also use a blanket, okay? Your towel can double for the blanket if you like, but I find towels not to be very thick, so you make the call. And of course, we'll use a yoga block. And if you don't have one, you can check out my video on how to make your own yoga block. They're pretty easy with things that you already have around the house. So we're going to get started lying on the back. And if you have bulging discs, herniated discs, you'll want to take your towel actually and fold it into a thin pad that'll go underneath your lumbar spine. I talked about this in class last week, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it right now. Once you learn this skill, you can apply it to any situation where you're laying on your back on the floor, okay? And as always, if you feel like you need some neck support, you can use your towel like this, and you can customize the height of that towel to fit your preferences. Okay, so now that we're laying on the floor, just take a breath and relax for a minute. Sometimes, even first thing in the morning, it just feels really good to lay flat on the floor. The back can get kind of stiff, you know, the neck, the upper back can get kind of tight, especially if you're a side sleeper. This is also a good position to come to if you're ever tired in the middle of the day or at the end of the day. It really is a good way to give your back a break. And we're going to add to this a little bit of traction. So take your hands and put them on the tops of your thighs. Push into your thighs, keeping your shoulders down away from your ears, and then wiggle your shoulders away from your hips like this. Now, another way you can do this, it's a little less weird, less mysterious. You can grab onto the sides of your yoga mat if you're on one and push downward through your hands, and that'll help you lengthen out your back. So we're not looking for a really dramatic sensation here, although it may feel big at first, especially if you're really tight. Just a tiny bit of traction goes a long way, bringing some space between those vertebrae. And now I'll have you bring your left knee towards your chest. Put both hands on that knee. So I want you to have the knee far enough away that your arms are straight. And for this movement, your hands are going to stay on the knee the whole time. Take a breath here. As you exhale, pull the knee in. And as you inhale, let the knee go out. Keep your hands on the knee. The arms will straighten. Okay. Exhale, pull the knee in. Inhale, the knee goes out. Now this is, you'll notice, just stretching one side of your back only, massaging the back of your hip, your SI joint. Try to relax as much as possible as you do this. Continue moving with your breath and relax your jaw, your shoulders, okay, your eyes. Last time, exhale, the knee comes in. Inhale, the knee goes out. Now we can try the other side. So the left foot goes down. And the right knee comes up, both hands on the right knee. Take a breath, exhale, pull it in. Inhale, let it go away. Now, as you're doing this movement, I'd like you to notice, where does your knee track? Okay, when you pull your knee in towards your body, does it go outward towards your armpit or your shoulder, or does it come straight in towards your rib cage, tracking along the line of the nipple? Ideally, we want that hip to be able to track along the line of the nipple. And that's because that's a neutral hip. And a lot of us get hip flexion dysfunction, meaning that it hurts to bring the leg in towards the body. And then we start cheating and taking it out to the side. So don't worry, you can correct that. You can correct it. It takes some commitment, takes, every day coming back to it. But it can be done. Okay, so we're going to put that left foot down. And now we're going to try doing that same movement, but with both knees. I want you to know that I have met people for whom this is painful. So if you try it and you don't like it, then go back to the one leg version, or just take a break for a minute until we finish. It won't take very long. So we've got left knee and right knee. Take a breath. And as you exhale, pull the knees in. As you inhale, let the knees go away. Good, just like that. Exhale, the knees come in. Inhale, the knees go away. Again, notice where your knees are tracking. You do want your knees coming straight in towards your body if possible. And the squeeze that you get in your belly here is actually really good for you too. So don't worry about squeezing your belly unless it hurts. Don't squeeze it if it hurts. Exhale, the knees come in. Inhale, the knees go out. Good. Last time. Amazing. Okay. One foot down, other foot down. And now we're going to work on the neck a little. So I'll invite you to put your feet wherever it feels comfortable for you. For me, that means taking them a little bit wide if I'm going to be in the resting position. And take a breath. Exhale, let your head turn to the right. Inhale, bring your head back to center. Exhale, turn your head to the left. Inhale, bring your head back to center. Keep going. Exhale, turn the head. Inhale to center, alternating sides. And the only thing we're trying to do here, of course, is get a little rotation in the neck, but also to roll the back of your head across the floor. This can help relieve tension at the very tippy top of your neck. Your neck actually kind of begins at your skull, muscularly speaking. Okay, so one more round. Exhale, turn the head. Inhale, come back to center. And when you're even on both sides, I will have you, oh, good, it's time for the roll. So we're gonna get that noodle. But if you don't have a noodle, I'll show you first how to do this with a towel. Okay, so this is a regular size bath towel and it's been washed many times. So it's a little thin. I think that that's pretty good for yoga, but a nice fluffy one would also be great. As you can see, I've folded my towel in half. I want you to lay it down on the floor. We're starting with the folded end. We're gonna roll it up really tight like a burrito. You don't want stuff falling out of your burrito, right? So you're like pinching it and rolling it and pulling the extra fabric in as you go. This needs to be nice and tight. And then when you get to the end, what you have is a roll, just like the noodle. It's about the same size, see? Now, I'm not going to demonstrate the actual technique with this because you won't be able to see it. This lime green neon noodle is going to be easier for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to put that right there on my mat. It's about it's almost halfway down my mat, all right? And I'm going to lay down on this noodle so that this noodle is right at the bottom of my rib cage, right? Kind of just above where the kidneys might be, right? And take your feet wide. And the technique here is pretty easy. You're just gonna let your knees go side to side, and you'll feel a massage across your back. So if this feels really intense for you, you can always change the size of your roll. You can unroll it a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. Okay. And as we continue with this, you're going to want to move your noodle, right? You're going to want to massage your whole back, not just one spot. So the way you're going to do that is as one knee comes down, you're going to let the weight of that leg sort of pull you. You're even going to maybe lift your shoulder a little and let your whole body kind of shift down the noodle, right? And when you find a spot that feels amazing, you can stay there for a little bit. Go side to side, and when you feel complete, you can keep moving, right? Sometimes this will reveal to you that you might have some tightness along the rib cage. So if you're looking at me, you can see what I mean by scooching down the noodle. My body's moving down the mat, and the noodle is higher on my back. It's even making a sound. So usually by the time we get up to here, it's a good time to take a break. So we have that noodle right across the bottom of the shoulder blades. And if you rest like this for a moment, you might feel a gentle stretch across your chest. You might even feel a little baby stretch in your belly. The breath into your belly, feel the way it expands. Maybe your stretching sensation increases on your inhale. Good, okay. So we're about ready to take the noodle out. If you want to do this later on your own time, absolutely spend as long as you want here, okay? I really encourage that. For now, we're going to roll over to the side, push up, and just take the noodle out. Good, so we're back to laying on the back, and we're going to do a ab strengthening progression, starting with the pelvic tilt. We did the pelvic tilt last week, and we're coming back to it because now it's going to be the starting point for our other ab exercises as we progress to something a little bit harder, right? So if you find that you're not ready to progress, just stay with your pelvic tilt. So we're resting on the back, and if you have bulging discs, you have a support here under your back, remember? Take a breath, and as you exhale, pull your belly button down towards your spine and push your spine towards either your support or the mat, right? Those of us who have no bulging discs, we can actually try flattening the back towards the floor. Inhale, relax. Exhale, pull the belly in and tilt your pelvis back. So as we push the belly in and flatten the back towards the floor, the pelvis tilts back, the tailbone kind of points up a little bit, and we'll inhale, release, relax. Exhale, as you're doing your pelvic tilt, make sure your legs are not working. So that means if you were to touch your butt, it would be really soft. Those muscles would be completely turned off. Inhale, relax. Exhale. As you do your pelvic tilt, lift your pelvic floor. It's like pulling an elevator up from the basement. Inhale, relax. Exhale, flatten. Inhale, relax, okay? So let's find that pelvic tilt position. Exhale, pull the belly button in, right? Back is flat against the floor. If you put your hands on your lower belly, like between your two hip points in the front there, you'll feel that muscle hard. That's your transversus abdominis. We're using that muscle here to stabilize the pelvis as we move other parts of the body. Okay, so we're gonna start with the legs. Holding this position, lift your right leg. And you'll feel right away when you lift that leg off the floor, the pelvis might kind of want to move around a little. We're alternating legs. So as we inhale, we lift the leg. As we exhale, we lower. And if you want to make it a tiny bit harder, you can try just putting your heel on the floor. We want to keep the sacrum flat on the floor here. That's that wide, hard, bony spot at the bottom of your back. Okay, so the pelvis doesn't move as the legs come up and down. Ready? We're going to stop with the legs for just a moment and do something with the arms. So we're actually going to need to use your upper abdomen muscles, rectus abdominis, the ones that connect to your rib cage right in the front. And so now you have your pelvic tilt going and you have a little bit of this stuff, your six-pack muscles are on. And we're just gonna put the arms up and we're gonna move the arms like this. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, the arm goes up. Exhale, the arm goes down. If you have really good shoulder mobility, you'll be able to tap the floor with your thumb and your spine won't move at all. And that's what we're going for here. So don't focus on how far can I get my thumb. Focus on, can I move my arms without moving my spine? Your shoulder mobility will increase over time, and that will help you have a healthier back because you won't be using your back to move your shoulders, right? So now I'm going to take a rest for a second. We're going to put those two movements together, the arms and the legs. So if you're feeling like this is already really challenging, feel free to stay with either the arms or the legs, or even just the pelvic tilt, okay? You have so many options, but don't do anything that hurts. And number one, I really want to mention before we progress any farther, if you're feeling any of this in your back, then your abdominals clearly aren't doing their job. They're not working right now. And it's time for you to scale back your movement to get the strength in your front core really turned on, really fired up, and then try progressing again. I would say for a week, every day, do the easier one and then go back to the harder one and see if it helps. Okay, so do your pelvic tilt, take a breath, exhale, pull the belly button down, and then squeeze your upper abdominals, pulling the bottom ribs down towards the floor as well, like you're pinning your kidneys down, okay? And then we're gonna, we have both arms in the air, both legs in the air, and we're gonna do the dead bug, just like this. Now you don't actually have to tap the floor with your heels, okay? If you choose to do that, make sure your back isn't moving and your back isn't arching away from the floor as you tap the floor with your heels. But for now, for today, I'm choosing not to even do that one because I think this feels pretty challenging already. I can feel my whole abdomen working. And this is really important for back stability. Okay. Ready? We're going to put the arms down. We're going to put the feet down one at a time. And we're going to stretch the legs out on the mat, bring the arms up overhead, stretch out the front of your body really big and wiggle your hips a little bit there. Good. Bring the hands down to your sides. What's next? Let's take a look. Oh, yes. We're going to work our hip stabilizers. So roll over onto your side. And most people do want a head support for this. I actually feel okay using my arm as a head support. I want you laying on your side with your knees pulled in like this. So the knees are about straight out from the hips. And then you're going to take your top leg and extend it out like that. I want you to roll forward here. It's really important not to use your spine to lift your leg, which is what we're going to do. You want to use only your hip muscles. And if you're leaning back, it's just way too easy to take this movement into your spine. So lean forward. Use your hand as a kickstand in front of you. Touch your toes on the floor, okay? And on the inhale, lift the leg. You'll notice it actually doesn't go very high here if you're only using your hip muscles. And we're gonna bring it down. So yes, we're using a hold. Inhale and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hopefully you're feeling it right there, okay? Good. Inhale up and hold for 5, 4. You're not holding your breath. 2, 1. You're allowed to breathe while we do this. Good. Okay, and inhale up. And exhale down. Toes are always pointing slightly downward. That means that the hip is internally rotated just a little bit. So starting out, 5 of those is plenty. We can do some pulses too, okay? We're going to lift the leg and we're going to hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to lift it a little bit higher. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold again. 2, 3, 4, 5, and lower down. Now, don't worry if you're just getting started and you weren't able to do all that. Come back to this again and again. This is really going to help your back. Okay. Now, let's go onto the back. So whatever leg you were just working, take that leg and cross it over the other. We're going to do the figure 4 stretch just to loosen that hip up a little, okay? And you can bring your leg in like this or like this. This is a good one for a lot of people, okay? You can see that I'm sort of moving my leg side to side, but my spine is staying flat. This is good for stretching different parts of your hip. You can always find a part of your hip that is tighter than the rest, and you can hold in that spot. Right, good. Now it's time to do the other side. So I'm gonna flip over. Yep. Okay. So we're laying on the side. We've got the knees up. Gotta set it up, you know? Gotta set it all up. Knees are up. Okay, and then we extend the top leg. Lean forward onto your kickstand hand. Okay. Inhale, lift your leg and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. We'll do this 4 more times. Inhale up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower down. Now, if you're not feeling this in your side butt or the side of your hip, try leaning forward a little more. Inhale up and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower down. Good. Here comes number 4. Inhale up, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower down. Inhale up and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Good. Okay, we're gonna lift it up one more time and we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're not putting the leg down yet, we're pulsing. So lift it a little higher, 5, 4, lift it, pulsing, 3, 2, 1. Hold for a second and then slowly lower down. Woo, okay. Roll onto your back and stretch that hip. So I'll give you more detail on my description this time, all right? Take your hand, press it into your thigh. Sometimes that makes a really good hip stretch, okay? If you're not feeling it, bring your leg towards you like I am now. Look at where my hands are. I've got one hand on my knee, one hand wrapping around the bottom of my foot, and I'm pulling the leg straight in. It's important to keep this shin bone perpendicular to your body to get a good stretch. And then you can move your leg side to side. All right, so next we're actually gonna do more hip stuff in the sideline position. So we're gonna go back to the original side. We're gonna do some clam shells. Are you ready? Okay, so foot goes down. All right, I'm coming up. I'm gonna flip myself over again. All right, here come the clam shells. So you want your knees up again, like we did last time, the starting position. Lean forward as always. And inhale, lift your leg. And exhale, lower down. Okay. Inhale, lift your leg. Exhale, lower down. We'll only do 5 of these. Good. Okay, let's try a different foot position. We're going to bring the feet back down a little bit so they're kind of in line with your tailbone. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Three, 4, 5. Which one did you feel more? The one you felt more is probably the one you need to do more. All right, now we're ready to go do the other side. So here we go. I'm getting up. Moving over. Okay. Starting with the knees high. Lean forward onto your kickstand hand. Inhale up. Exhale down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. All right. Now, you can put your feet down, kind of in line with the tailbone. And same movement. Inhale, lift your top knee. Exhale, lower down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Well done. All right. So guess what? We're going to move up to the hands and knees position. And if you have really sensitive knees, please put a blanket under them. I actually have 2 yoga mats here today, so I don't need the blanket this time. And if you have 2 yoga mats, you can do that too. Okay, so you want your wrists right underneath your shoulders and your knees right underneath your hips. This is giving your spine enough space to lengthen out and be neutral. So let's explore where that neutral spine is. If you were to round your back like this, and then arch your back like this, you're feeling the 2 extremes, right? Neutral is going to be somewhere in the middle. Sometimes it's useful to go between the 2 sides of a spectrum, 2 ends of a spectrum, to find the middle. So here we are exhaling. This is cat pose. And inhaling, this is cow. So we're just doing some old cat cows. You can't go wrong with the basic staples. All right, and now we might be ready to find that neutral. So neutral is going to be a slight bend in your back. So not like this, not like this, right? It's not perfectly straight either. There's a little bit of a curve in your low back. Shoulders need to be rolled back and down, pushing actively into the floor through your hands. Okay, and then you can reach long through the crown of your head, reach long through your tailbone, pull your bellies in, and this is your neutral spine. Good. So let's take the right hand and put it on top of the left hand. We're going to exhale, shift the hips back, and inhale up. Now, if you do have a condition where you need to keep your back really straight, you can take your legs wide, and that's going to make it easier for you to keep your back straight as you go back here. And we're stretching the right side of the body. Exhale back, inhale up. One last time. Inhale up. Good. And between sides, let's actually do puppy pose. So bring your knees back to like a neutral, knees are right under the hips. Walk your hands forward on the mat. Really cup the mat with your hands. Shift your hips back and you're stretching out under your arms, and you're really working your shoulders here. This is going to help you with that shoulder mobility we were talking about earlier. And if you want, you can put your elbows on the floor even. Your forehead might actually go down to the floor. And you really want your hips lengthening away from your rib cage. I find putting the head and the arms down actually helps to lengthen that out. Great. So now we're coming up. Bring your hands back to the neutral position directly underneath your shoulders. Put your left hand on top of your right hand and shift your hips back again. Exhale. Inhale up. 3 more times. Good. Okay, come back to center and shift yourself back one last time and come on back up. So let's bring the elbows down and then walk the knees back and put your belly on the floor. Pull yourself through your elbows, okay? And then bring your elbows lined up right underneath your shoulders. So if you have spondylolisthesis, that's where your vertebrae have actually slid forward from each other. It's kind of common, unfortunately. This is the most back bending or spinal extension you will ever want to do, okay? You can definitely strengthen your back from here, and I'm going to show you how. So let your head hang, and then you can look up. And when you look up, you'll definitely feel the muscles of your back coming on. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift up. Okay. So put our chests down on the floor. Stack your hands underneath your forehead. Just take a break for a second. Okay. So if you do not have spondylolisthesis, you can actually do a little bit more than that. You can do Cobra. And the way we do Cobra, we have 2 different hand positions that you can use. If you have tight shoulders or a rotator cuff injury, it's really good to put your hands all the way out here, making a W shape. And if you don't have those issues going on, you can actually bring your hands a little closer to your body. I like them about here with my fingertips off the mat and the heels of my hands on the mat. And the fingers cheating out to the sides just a little bit, okay? So if you're gonna do the full Cobra, squeeze your butt, push your pubic bone into the floor, pull your belly button up like we were doing a pelvic tilt, right? And then inhale, lift your head and your chest. And exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Exhale, lower down. Okay. Now, you can continue moving in that range of motion, or if it feels pretty good and you want to try a little bit more motion, you can inhale up and then push into your hands and lift a little bit. But make sure your shoulders stay down away from your ears, okay? We don't want this. Okay, and then exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Good. And one more. Inhale up. Exhale down. And now we're going to hold. So whether you're doing Sphinx or the baby cobras that we did before or the big cobras, you now have the option, if you want, to try holding that. So we're going to inhale, come up. And then, actually, that was too high for me. I'm going to stay here. And lower back down. And a good length of hold is 30 seconds, but working up to a minute really gets your muscles stronger and even encourages bone growth. So now let's move on from that. Okay. We're going to come up to hands and knees again. I like to use my elbows like this. Right, and so we'll have knees underneath the hips and wrists underneath the shoulders, and we're going to shift back into child's pose just for a second here. Stretching out your back because it was just worked so much. And now we'll come up. We're going to try Anjaneyasana. Don't worry about memorizing the names of the poses. It's a variation on the lunge. Okay, so we'll bring, for me, it's my left foot. So left foot forward, and you see how my foot is actually forward of my knee, and my hips are actually back here over my standing knee. Good. So we're not actually going into the lunge yet. Before we go into the lunge, it's important to line up your alignment. So the hip points need to be facing the front of the mat here. You want to roll your shoulders back and down. Place your hands on your thigh and press into your thigh, lengthening yourself up through the crown of your head. Take a breath, and as you exhale, you can come forward. As you come forward, try squeezing the butt on that back leg, the right leg, okay? That helps keep that hip neutral. So we'll exhale back, inhale forward, staying tall and long, exhale back. Now, something to avoid when you're doing a big stretch like this is dumping a lot of weight into the front of your hip. Like you see the people on the cover of Yoga Journal. I wouldn't recommend trying to be like one of those models. Okay, so this is plenty, right? If you're squeezing your butt, you're actually getting a really big stretch here in your psoas and your quads, okay? And then you can even try adding an arm or two arms. And if this is where you need to watch out if you have spondylolisthesis, we don't want a lot of extension in that condition. So maybe you only have your arms here, right? Depending on how mobile your shoulders are. And we're holding intentionally here, but you are free to leave this position anytime you like. Bring the hands down. Okay, and we'll try the other side. So with this leg forward, you have a better chance of seeing what I'm going to talk about next, which is, after we set up the alignment, hips are pointing forward, shoulders are pointing forward, push into your thigh, make yourself nice and tall, pull your belly in, use your abdominal support. And as you come forward and you squeeze your back butt, this front hip, might sometimes want to creep forward or creep up like that, okay? Can you see that? And can you feel that happening in your body? If you do, you can use your thumb, hook it in your hip crease, and push it back, okay? So let's move in and out of this a few times. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. And now we're going to inhale forward and hold. Remember, you're squeezing your back butt. Hip is pressed back. Push into that front foot here and add either 1 or 2 arms. Hold as long as you're comfortable. When you're no longer comfortable, leave the position. You will get stronger, I promise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the arms down. Good. Okay, so we're going to come to standing. We're already in a good position to do that. If you have a wall nearby or a chair, that's useful. If you're still working on improving your balance, right? You want to set yourself up for success and avoid falls. So here we go. We're coming to standing. I want you to just stand for a second, wiggle your hips, move your body. Okay. And we're going to get the block. And put it right between the thighs like this. Good. Toes are pointing forward. Okay, knees are slightly bent. This is mountain pose. And so the mountain is what? Well, stable. Rising up towards the sky and coming to a point. Yes? So the waist is the division on your body between the part of the mountain we see, this part, and the part of the mountain we don't see, which is underground. So your legs and your hips are plugging you into the earth, just like a mountain. So feel the sturdiness and the steadiness in your legs with the way your bones are lined up and your muscles are activated here. I'd like you to contract your muscles just a little bit so you can really feel the energy moving through your body, that muscular energy, the electrical signals between your cells, turning those muscles on and creating heat. Okay, now above the waist, we have the shoulders rolled back, the head pulled back so that the ears float right above the shoulders. The belly is pulled in so that the low back is long, and you can feel energy moving up the back of your body, all the way up, lengthening and lifting your spine and your neck and your head, and then down the front of your body, zipping your abdominals, rooting you into the planet. Inhale, bring your arms out to the sides and up. Exhale, hands together in front of your heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, arms up. Amazing. So we call this samasthiti. equal standing pose. The hands are together here and both sides of the body are symmetrical. Can you feel that? Do you need to make any micro adjustments to create a little bit more symmetry from right to left and left to right? Okay, so we'll take the hands to the left and let the head turn to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, center. Keep going at the pace of your own breath. Feel your body as you move and notice all the sensations. Sometimes you get a sensation in a place you don't expect. When you hone your awareness, you can actually become aware of the tiny, tiny, tiny sensations you never would have noticed before. Last one. When you're even on both sides, come back to center. Good. Okay. So before we move on, take a second to really feel your body. Bow towards your own heart, honoring that inside you, which is sacred, eternal, that which is never born and never dies. Good. Now, I know we didn't spend very much time standing today, but we will in later classes. We're moving down to the floor again. So I'd like to show you a really safe way to do this if you have back issues and you don't have any props around. We'll get into ways of using props to do this too, but for now, if you don't have anything, it's good to take your legs really wide. Bend your knees. Put your hands on the ground. You see how flat my back is here? And there we go. So taking the legs wide and bending the knees gives your spine so much more options. And we're going to come onto the back and we're going to need a blanket. So lay down on your back. Keep your knees bent and place this blanket underneath your hips. Actually bring the end of the blanket all the way up to your mid back. And then grab onto the sides of your mat, pull yourself or push down into your hands, and you'll find yourself going long, and then you actually will feel your body moving up and that blanket will be a little lower on your back. Okay, so I'm going to show you a progression from the easiest to the hardest way to do the bridge pose. This is a supported bridge. It's the easiest way. You're getting the benefit of having your hips slightly above your heart, a reversal of gravity on your body, helping drain your lymph system and relieve tension in your back. Okay, you might even feel your pelvis, the back of your pelvis, spreading out wide and releasing onto that blanket. It's a wonderful feeling. So to progress from here into a little bit of a baby bridge, we'll call it, or a non-bridge, you can take a breath, and as you exhale, press into your feet, and then press your tailbone slightly into the floor and your shoulders slightly into the floor. So what you have is your body hasn't moved at all, but all the muscles in the back of your body are engaged. Now release that. So we'll try that again, okay? So exhale, press your feet into the floor, press your tailbone into the blanket and your shoulders into the floor, and you can arch your spine up just a little bit away from the blanket if it feels good. Release. So if bridging hurts for you, this is a good place to strengthen. Now we're going to move into a little bit of the hip lift. That's the bridge that I keep talking about. So if your toes are pointed perfectly towards the bottom of your mat and your feet are parallel together, so parallel that they even feel just a tiny bit pigeon-toed, that's neutral hip And we will push into the feet, lift the hips tiny bit, and then lower them down. Okay, we're doing this tentatively. Some people get aggravated when they do this, and I want you to just go incrementally. If it feels, if you feel anything, try to stop right before that sensation begins. So lift yourself up high enough, just high enough that you won't feel that irritation. And then as you warm up or as you get stronger over time, you might be able to go a little higher. So it's inhale up and exhale down. And some of us might even be strong enough to do a hold. So if you want to try a hold, you can hold your hips up in the air. Try lengthening your tailbone towards your knees, pulling your belly button towards your spine, just like you were doing a pelvic tilt like we did earlier. Squeezing your butt and slowly lower down. Good. Now, what's next? I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Next thing we can try is a really gentle inversion. As you know, as I mentioned, we're already slightly inverted. That means in reverse of what we normally would be, right? The hips are higher than the heart. So you can actually put your legs in the air. Only if it feels good, of course. And this is just increasing the reversal of gravity on your body. While we're here, why don't we just pull the toes in and then point the toes away. Work those ankles a little bit. Okay, now we'll do some ankle circles. Okay, so bend your right knee and then straighten your right knee and bend your left knee. And keep doing that. Just alternating. As you straighten a leg, try to turn on the quad muscles in the fronts of your thighs. If you have really tight hamstrings, that's a really good way to try loosening them up. You tighten the muscle that is opposite them. It helps them release. Okay. All right. Both knees bent, right foot on the floor, left foot on the floor. Remove the blanket and feel the flatness of the floor underneath you. It's a big contrast to what we had before. Good. Stretch your legs out on the floor. We're going to do final rest. So stretching the legs out on the floor isn't required. If it's not comfortable for you, you can bend your knees again. You can even go over and put your legs on a chair or a couch. That's a really good way to rest too. Your hands will either be out beside you with the palms facing up like this, and that's going to stretch your chest out just a tiny bit. And you can also put your hands palms facing down on your hip points. Just depends on what's comfortable for you. And as you rest here, become aware of everything that you're experiencing right now. Become aware of the sounds around you, the sounds inside your home, the sounds outside your home. Become aware of the temperature of the room. Become aware of the sensation of your skin. The smell of your home. And the feelings that you get in your mouth. The warmth, the temperature. There might even be a taste in there right now. Now, turn your attention towards the awareness that notices these things. Notice that the experiences and the awareness are not the same person. In fact, those experiences aren't a person at all. You are awareness watching these experiences, witnessing. Bring your awareness to your breath. Take a long, slow, deep breath in. And slowly let it out. One more time. Long, slow, deep breath in. Slowly let it out. Good. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. We're going to come back up. So first I'll have you bend your knees. When you feel ready, no rush, roll over onto your side and stay here for at least one full deep breath before coming up to a comfortable seated position. Place your hands together in front of your heart and give thanks for everything that is making this day livable for you, even down to the very mundane things. The eggs you had for breakfast. Thank you for joining me. Have a fantastic day. Namaste.